Is this thing on? Welcome back to Movies TV Man. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Man, and welcome to my channel. Well, Molly Edwards from Games Radar has written an article giving the case why the Snyderverse should be restored. So we should give it a read. 1 year on from Zack Snyder's Justice League, the case for restoring the Snyderverse is clearer than ever. A year ago, something once thought unimaginable happened. Zack Snyder's Justice League was released. Before that fateful day, the so-called Snyder Cut, the original director's cut of the 2017 superhero blockbuster, was a mere myth. Yet thanks to a passionate, relentless and ultimately successful fan campaign, Snyder's true vision for the movie saw that light of day. Warner Brothers even giving the director additional funding to complete his work. Today, Joss Whedon's version, which has a drastically different plot, is all but forgotten. Yeah, do you hear that, Joss and WB Pictures? All but forgotten. There's been no work on the Snyderverse, aka Snyder's vision for the DC Extended Universe, continuing any further, and the director has moved on to other projects at Netflix. Yet today, it's clearer than ever that the Snyderverse should continue. I agree, Molly. First, it's worth noting that Zack Snyder's Justice League falls into its own pocket of the DC universe. Outside the mainline canon, should a sequel Snyder envision 3 Justice League movies in total being greenlit, there's no worry about it interfering with Warner Brothers' plans for the cinematic universe as it currently exists. Just look to the success of The Batman, which has crossed 500 million mark at the worldwide box office, for proof that mini-universes work. Robert Pattinson's movie is entirely unconnected from the likes of Aquaman, Wonder Woman and Joker, which itself introduced a different version of Gotham, yet Bats is still proving popular. The mainline DC universe is fully embracing the multiverse too, with The Flash set to bring back Michael Keaton's Batman along with Ben Affleck's version of the character. The concept of the multiverse has already been a hit with mainstream audiences thanks to Spider-Man No Way Home and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Why not embrace that further and allow the Snyderverse to tell the epic story it started in Zack Snyder's Justice League? In fact, Molly, the story, and I don't blame you for not knowing everything, but the story started with Man of Steel. Restoring the Snyderverse is also key to keeping major figures in the DC universe. The future of Henry Cavill's Clark Kent is unclear. Warner Brothers currently has 2 separate Superman projects in the works, a Val Zod series produced by Michael B. Jordan, and a movie focused on a black Superman with J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates. And by the way, 2 projects we haven't heard about for well over a year. I would say, Molly, that these projects are no longer happening, typical of WB Pictures. Yet there's nothing announced for Cavill. Considering we currently have no less than 3 live-action Batmen, we can just as easily have 3 Supermen, especially if they're each existing in separate universes. Snyder also envisioned introducing Green Lantern to the DC universe, with Wayne T. Carr playing John Stewart. Yet this was exercised from Justice League because Warner Brothers already had plans for Green Lantern. An HBO Max show without Carr is in the works. Again, we understand the multiverse, and having Carr's version of the superhero is an exciting prospect. Then there's Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke, Jared Leto's Joker, and Harry Lennox's Martian Manhunter, all characters with great promise that were unfairly given little screen time. Continuing the Snyderverse could rectify that and allow them to flourish. All that's without mentioning that the Justice League haven't been united since 2017, and there are seemingly no plans for that to change anytime soon. Even the Peacemaker finale, which brought back Jason Momoa's Aquaman and Ezra Miller's Flash, used silhouettes standing in for Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman and Cavill's Superman, and removed Cyborg and Batman entirely, a very toxic thing to do, by the way. That moment broke the internet, so there's an obvious hunger to see these characters back together. Zack Snyder's Justice League ends with Darkseid revealing himself as a major threat to the universe, Superman coming back to life, and Cyborg embracing his true superhero potential. There's so much left to tell, and it's clear the Snyder Cut story is far from over. And 1 year later, fan appetite has only grown. Zack Snyder's Justice League and Restore the Snyderverse regularly trend on Twitter. Snyder himself has never definitely walked away from the universe either, and even posted on social media to mark the anniversary. It's clear the future of the DC universe should include the Snyderverse. That may seem unachievable, but who knows? Stranger things, like a 4-hour director's cut of Justice League, have happened. So that's a really little good article by Molly Edwards, clearly a fan of the Snyderverse. And there's a growing kind of hunger to see the Snyderverse restored. And that's what I can see from people that I talk to all the time. Restoring, blue check marks on Twitter and Instagram, hungry to see more. This is a very, very big deal, because you don't leave somebody's story like that. I discussed on today's DCEU Daily how there have been soaps and TV dramas that have been axed prematurely, but they always finish their story. In the UK, in the 90s, there was a soap opera called El Dorado. It only lasted for 1 year. They axed it because the ratings weren't very good and the investment was very vast. But the character of Marcus Tandy's story ended in the final episode in a beautiful way. He lived happily ever after with his love interest, Pilar. You don't know what I'm talking about. What I'm trying to say to you is there have been many kind of abandoned kind of shows and movies, but they've always had an ending. The story has ended because that's what you do. You don't toxically just bin somebody's vision because it's not what you want, because it's not mainstream enough, because it's controversial. That's not what you do. So Molly Edwards here makes a really, really good point. I think a lot of people want to see the Snyderverse restored. I want it restored. And if you're a supporter of the Snyderverse, you certainly should be subscribing to this channel, because that is going to be my focus in the coming weeks and months. We will always update you with all the DCEU news and exciting stuff going on. I'm a DC fan. I'm a fan of entertainment. That's why I'm called Movies TV Mad. But restoring the Snyderverse is very, very important, because there's a story to tell there. I think Zack does want to do it. I don't think he'd say no. We're getting new leadership at Warner Brothers. We're going to be called Warner Brothers Discovery. This is very, very important. David Zaslav, the incoming CEO, is a fan of creative talent. He moved to California, Hollywood, about a year ago when the merger was announced. He's been talking to creatives like Christopher Nolan and Zack Snyder. So things are going to be changing very, very soon. How do I feel about this? What do I think? What is the lay of the land here? Is it possible that Zaslav and Discovery will restore the Snyderverse? It's very, very realistic they could restore the Snyderverse. Of course, there's issues. There's issues because the Justice League in Snyder's verse, even though it's in its own pocket universe, are also the main timeline's Justice League. But of course, after Flash, if the main timeline has a brand new Justice League without these people, that would make things easier. But you could still allow him to finish his project. As I say, it's not a simple situation. It's a complex and complicated situation. And it's not been complicated by Zack Snyder. It's been complicated by Warner Brothers Pictures from the moment they didn't let him finish his arc. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Nick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll see you again in the next video. Until then, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.